What year were you born in? What is the name of the year you were born in called? Do you know which generation you belong to? And why was your generation given this name label? Let's understand generations. How history and technology forged the identities of boomers, zoomers, and beyond. Let's take a journey through time. We'll explore how different generations got their names and what makes each group unique. From wars to Wi-Fi, history shapes. In the aftermath of World War I, a generation of young writers and artists emerged, deeply disillusioned by the devastation they had witnessed. Writers like Hemingway wrote stories about their struggles. Their name comes from feeling lost in a world that no longer made sense. 2. The Greatest Generation, born 1901 to 1927. The Greatest Generation. They survived the Great Depression, a time when many had no jobs or money. They're called greatest because they worked hard to rebuild the world after the war. Many of your grandparents might be in this group. 3. The Silent Generation, born 1928 to 1945. Then came the Silent Generation. They're called silent because they grew up during tough times and often followed the rules. But don't be fooled, some of them started big changes, like fighting for civil rights. 4. Baby Boomers, born 1946 to 1964. After World War II, lots of babies were born, 76 million births in the US alone. They grew up to protest wars, invent rock music, and fight for equality. They're called boomers because of the baby boom. 5. Generation X, born 1965 to 1980. Generation X. They're called X because they were hard to label. They grew up with early video games and punk rock. Many started companies like Google and YouTube. In this era humans walked on the moon for the first time. 6. Millennials, born 1981 to 1996. The millennials, they're called that because they became adults around the year 2000. They grew up with the internet and cell phones. 7. Gen Z, born 1997 to 2012. Gen Z, the TikTok generation, they've never known a world without smartphones. They're fighting for the planet, mental health, and equality. They're called Gen Z because they come after millennials, Gen Y. 8. Generation Alpha, born 2013 now. Generation Alpha, the kids of today. They're growing up with tablets, robots, and YouTube. Their name follows Gen Z, like the first letter in the Greek alphabet. They'll face big challenges, like climate change, but they're ready to learn. Generations are like chapters in a book, each one shaped by its time. But no matter the label, every generation has the power to change the world. The generation before the Lost Generation, 1883 to 1900, doesn't have a universally recognized name like later cohorts, partly because generational labels became more common in the 20th century. However, historians and sociologists sometimes refer to earlier groups based on their historical context. What comes after Gen Alpha? Generation Beta, mid-2020s to 2040s. Likely defined by AI, climate adaptation, and space exploration. Generation Gamma, even further into the future, 2050s+.